Alaikum.
Alaikum assalam, Zara. How are you?
Good. How are you? I'm
Oh,
so excited.
yeah, me too. Oh my God, I'm really excited. Looking forward to spending this time together with you. We don't get to meet that often, so.
I know, I know. And times have changed so drastically now, right? That,
Yes, very interesting times,
yeah,
right? But if you like, I don't know. I feel I have a lot of gratitude for all these times. I know COVID has been um, very challenging for most of us, but I also find it has really given us that space to be that we needed.
yeah, I agree. A lot of times I feel, आप मिल नहीं सकते, you can't see your family, you cannot travel. But I feel like this was a much needed time for ourselves, right? Something that we were not doing. So God said, stop.
Yes, and I love it. For me, for the longest time, I have been this person who worries about the climate a lot and Earth a lot. I feel very possessive about it because it's our mother, right?
Yeah.
I used to be this person. I used to be very worried, and when COVID happened, I'm like, oh my God, God can change this in an amount of time. So as we saw, that ozone layer healed itself, and I'm like, oh my God, this is mind blowing because God knows what He's doing. Allah knows,
Exactly. That's
right?
and that's the thing, right? We don't know. We
Mhm.
only know what we know, and we don't know what Allah knows. So I guess what ends up happening is we worry, but if we take the worry element out and we just submit ourselves, then
Yes,
we know that no matter what it is, it will get better.
yes. Surrender is a big thing, and like you know, um, growing up, however we are, we become very much controlling about each and every aspect of our life. And I think
Hmm.
that's where all the resistance builds up. And of course, then you come to around 30, 40, and now, and I think everyone goes through this phase where you're like, oh my God, what am I doing in life? I need to find something better to do with myself. And what am I doing it to myself, right? My relationship with myself, because you have seen, you get married, you have kids, you have the education, you're working. But when you don't have that relationship with yourself and the creator himself, then there's a disconnect. You feel that emptiness all the time, no matter what you have, how you have it.
Yeah, you're right.
So
I
yeah,
think I think for the
and I find
longest time,
that
like
space.
as far back as I go, and I kind of reflect upon myself, I feel like I spent a big chunk of my life taking care, right? And I was taking care of everybody else, which is a great feeling. I think that people who can do that, it's amazing. And I'm
Yes.
not calling myself amazing, but the fact that I was able to do that and I got the opportunity to do that was amazing. But I used to feel this emptiness, or I used to call it, the friends who know me that I talk to very dearly, um, I used to tell them there's a tufan inside of me. There's a
Because
tufan inside of me. I don't know. I don't know. I can't put a finger on it, but there's something inside of me.
नहीं
And I
वैसे भी
just,
shaky हाँ I get it what you're saying. I totally get it. I think वो कुछ भी हो रहा होता है ना वो it comes to that tufan. You're just not there fully because there's that tufan going on within you कि क्या हो रहा है अंदर. You know?
no, but it felt like I was doing all the tick marks. Like I had all the check marks, the house is clean, the kids are taken care of, I'm engaged in the community, I'm, cooking, and like all the check marks were there.
Yeah.
But it just felt like, no, there's something missing. And a lot of times I would come across as very ungrateful, right? When I would talk to, and they,
Yes.
and then I was like, no, but you don't understand. Like, I feel like there's something inside of me, right?
Mhm.
I'm talking to Mehreen Nasser.
Hi.
And Mehreen is a spiritual guide, and she's a Reiki healer. And she does amazing stuff. And as I said, I have not prepared myself for this interview because I just wanted it to flow as naturally as possible. And whatever the universe tells us to talk about is what we'll talk about today.
Yes, and oh my God, it's such a honor, and I'm super joyful right now because I was really looking forward to just being here in this space with you. And I absolutely agree. I think it's divine timing. As you mentioned, we have our matching scarves on, so I'm sure Allah knows what He's doing,
Exactly.
right?
So tell me, Mehreen, tell me about yourself.
So I think what I want to talk of, well, born and raised in Pakistan, and I got married here. Came in 2007 to Canada, and since then it has been a beautiful journey of, for me, I would say, really discovering myself. I think Canada, land of Canada, I don't know, it really invoked that in me. And since then it has been just different things. Starting to fill that void, as we were talking about it, that we feel at certain point that we have all the check marks. Growing up in a Pakistani family, my major check marks were getting married and having kids, right? Yeah, so that was it. And then when you have that, you're like, what now? There is still that emptiness that you feel inside. And I think that's the disconnect that we have with ourselves and the creator too, because I find there's a separation. We find that separation because the way we grow up is not at all connected or be aware of our own being. It's very selfless. And selflessness is not bad, but the thing is that not being able to look after yourself and just give and give, it becomes an empty vessel and there's nothing more to give then. And that's when anxiety and depression, for me, I think the most life-changing time was when I had my first child, and after that it was postpartum depression, and I spoke to you about that.
Yeah.
It was life-changing for me, and it was extremely dark time. It was for 2 years, and I only remember one thing was that I've always been a very I see beyond the physical world and feel beyond the physical world. So when that was going on, it was a very dark place, and I just didn't know what to do. I was putting a very good mask on. Nobody knew around me. Even, I have to be honest, I actually didn't know about myself that what was going on with me, because being brought up in a Muslim community, I always told myself that it can never happen to me because I pray fast and I'm a very religious person. So nothing can touch me like that. So when that happened, it's like, and then what was amazing and that shifted me was that one day my son, he's in the middle of the night, and he was very young, and he woke up for a diaper change and a feed in the middle of the night, and I just was in a dark place, but I saw him smile at me. And that smile, I don't know how to describe this, Zara, and I often say to the people that I felt that he literally lit the lamp in my heart. And
Wow.
it just started glowing from there, and I recognized that, no, oh my God, he's here for me and I'm here for him. So I need to start looking for things that will take me out of this dark place. And then there were Quran classes in Azra Auntie's Quran classes in
Oh, the
mall.
evening ones, right?
For me, it was afternoon ones.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I started going there, and from there, like essential oils, from there, energy work. The journey has been non-stoppable now, but it brings me a lot of peace and joy and contentment. And I think those are the experience that I kind of offer my services with, because I know these tools have helped me so much. And I find that if it could be beneficial for anyone else, you know, one small thing can change people, honestly.
You know, like I think what it is that, we're all getting these messages from the universe, right? Like I feel like, what was I listening to? I think I was listening to something very recently, and oh, I can't remember, but the gist of it was that we're getting these subtle messages, right? We have to listen,
Yes.
have to pay attention. So I think the biggest issue is that the universe keeps talking to us, right? The universe realized, like I guess it's like that instinct of, like, how should I explain it? Like how a mother knows what the child needs, right? And
Yes.
so just by the way they're breathing, or by the way they're walking, or by the way they're um, just the way they are, their energy is, as mothers, it's this instinct that what they want, right? Or what they need. I think
Yes.
it's the same way the universe is like our mother, right? Like, or
Yes.
or universe is, that energy is Allah, right? So Allah
Absolutely.
knows that, like, what we need, but
Yes.
we keep hearing whispers, right? We just
Yeah.
have to listen to those whispers. We have to listen to those signs. And I think that was one of those awakening moments for myself as well. Like I kept hearing these whispers, and um and then one fine day it was just like, okay, you know, and things have become so much easier. Like something that I think like I think I suffered from anxiety all my life, and I never knew what it was until I would say very recently, very recent. Like I knew then I had acknowledged anxiety. I knew, okay, I get anxious, but I never knew that anxiety, there's something that's called like an anxiety
Of
disorder,
course.
right? I never knew that.
Coming back from our background, so I didn't even know what depression or anxiety or postpartum, nothing of these things. Never known about it because it wasn't part of our society at that
No.
time. Right?
And it's such a taboo to talk. So, but growing up now, now when I go back, I understand. Oh my God, I used to have anxiety. I used to get anxious, and like that whole your stomach is turning, and
Yes.
so But then I realized, okay, I realized when I heard the messages and I kind of understood where what I need to do. Things have become so much easier. Like the same kind of stuff happens to me that used to happen to me before, but now the way I process things is so much easier, right?
Yes. So in energy world, we call it intuition,
Yeah, yeah,
right? That's what
yeah.
we call it. And I have always, so since things started to change like that, that's what I felt, that Allah hasn't left me alone. I'm not alone. Right, and that's the thing, when he has sent me here, I'm not alone, and he has provided me the tools. So now discovering the tools, what are the tools? So intuition, that was one of the first few things that really clicked in, that I gotta listen to this voice that's coming from within. And especially sometimes it gets so loud and clear that you're like,
Mm.
okay, there is no right. It's like no. I have to share this funny incident. So I think it was one of the Ramadan, and we had those groups that used to make salads together.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I was part of one of the group, and I was given these small jars for salad dressing. And while cutting it in the kitchen, cutting vegetables in the kitchen, I realized that I had forgotten those containers. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna quickly get it from the house. So I sat in the car and I started driving in the parking lot. And I had this loud and clear voice as though it was screaming in my ears, stop, it's in the trunk. And I was like, this is no. And then it was just getting so strong that I stopped, and hold and behold, I opened the trunk, it was there. So since then, I have not looked back. And like you said, it becomes, I'm not saying that challenges don't arise like in life, but it becomes easy because you're not worried about either past or future. And I think that,
Or there's somebody that's warning you. See,
yeah.
I feel a lot of times what would happen is I wouldn't listen, right? I wouldn't listen. And there was something here, but I wouldn't
Yes,
pay attention to it. And
yes,
when I started paying attention to it, so it's like almost a warning sign, right? And then I wouldn't pay attention to it.
yes,
And then things would like you
yes,
would have driven home, and there would have
yes.
been waste of time, and then you'd be frustrated looking at home, and eventually you'd find them in the trunk, right? So, and then you'd be like, I should have checked, right? So similar things would happen. So it was like almost like, for example,
Mm.
when you're rushing to leave the house and you're running late,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yes.
you want to get somewhere in time, and you get delayed by like about 5 minutes or 3 minutes. And then as you're passing by, you see a car accident.
I
And
know.
I'm like, I would have been in there. This could have been me had I left 3 minutes early,
Oh my
right?
God, I got
So
goosebumps everywhere. Yes, it happens so
yeah,
many.
all the
Oh,
time.
yes, yes,
Right? So it's
absolutely.
almost like the universe is delaying you. So now I feel like if I have done everything in my path, like everything that I was supposed to do, and
Yes.
if there is a delay in things, I say,
Mhm.
I completely submit myself and I say, that's
Yes,
fine. I'm okay.
yes.
Okay. Right?
I know.
So,
Yeah, that's the thing. They do your best and then leave it. Don't try to control the outcome of it. Yes,
right?
absolutely. Oh
So
my God.
I say now, like to my kids or whatever, if something needs to happen and I tell them, I said, I've sent an email.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I've sent, or I'll say I've sent a fax, or I've sent an email. It'll, don't worry. And they look at me like, our mom's lost it.
I totally can connect with you. Oh my God, yes, things that we do.
I literally say, you know, it, and like, you know, in all honesty, I do that. If I ever have anything that is beyond my scope, right? If I've done everything, I just tell Allah, I've left it in your hands. And or I even, there's another thing that I'd say is, like, let's say a situation has happened and you need to, like, kind of, there are times when you have to walk away. You cannot, right?
Yes.
And how I explain it. So everything, like, I have a lot of deep conversations with my children. A lot of them, they're older now, and we can kind of, you know, and we have like those conversations where it's a little bit of a back and forth.
Yes.
But I tell them, I say, imagine your capacity is just this much, right? And you would like to take your capacity and address something. So you will only have that limited capacity to address it. Now imagine if you send that to the divine, to Allah.
Limitless, yes.
His capacity is limitless. So do you really want to address something based on your capacity or his capacity? And so it's like, for me, that literally sets the tone of everything. Like, if I'm feeling a certain way and I say, well, Allah will handle it for me.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, absolutely. And he does always. He's always done it. It's just now we have become conscious of it. He's always looked after us from day one.
Yeah.
If I really look back at the situations, I could have easily died or been in a, like, you know, but he has looked after us constantly. As he says, he's a mother, much more loving and kind.
Exactly. Right. And like, as a child, and you know what, it's okay, like, as a child too, right? A baby doesn't understand. A baby can smell the mother or the caretaker. I wouldn't even say just the mother, right? Somebody who's taking care of it. They can smell them, they can feel their energy, but they don't quite can fathom or grasp what they're doing for the, you know, what my caretaker, my mother, is doing for me. They can't fathom that until they're much older. So it kind of comes with maturity. Kind of, so we have to give ourselves that much, right? And even in Islam, they say, right, by 40 years of age, you should have some semblance of where your life is headed.
It's amazing you said that. I always talk about it. There are a lot of things that happen. Often, even I'm sure Zara, people come to you like, how are you like this? And sometimes people come to me, how can you be like this? Like, just in the flow. And I always say that it has been a process. It wasn't from A jump onto the Z.
Oh no.
Right? So it has been a process. Zara, what Zara is right now is a process. Mehreen, what Mehreen is a process.
Yeah.
Right? We have been through that different processes. So for individually, everyone has to go through that process. So even with our kids, we can teach them certain things. We can equip them whatever we have as a guide, and then let them explore, right?
Yeah.
And then Allah is there as a constant protector, loving guide, always.
It's funny you say let them flow, because so Ali and myself were two very different people.
I get
right?
that.
Our parenting styles are very, very different. So I'm more like that, where I think, because, and I'm not like, you know, he's a very faithful person, like, in the sense, like, you know, he has a lot of faith in Allah. He's a believer. All that is there, but he's a warrior.
Yeah, I know.
Right? And so I feel like, I guess where I'm at right now, I say, you know, Allah knows we're doing our best. And Allah knows we're teaching our kids the best, but it is their journey. So we can guide them, but we cannot shelter them.
We can't.
And my biggest thing is, if I die today, not even tomorrow, if I die today, I want to be able to equip my children to be able to navigate through life
100%.
and not feel lost.
Exactly, and completely, because you were their world. So that's an important thing too. It's amazing that you're talking about that, because just while we were conversing, it came into my mind that I used to have a deep fear about death, and then leaving kids. I have two boys, right, and they're young, so dying, and for them to be alone in this world, and that used to create a lot of anxiety in me. And then it came a time, I think, I'm trying to remember what time, when was it? Yeah, 6. So probably around when he was, yeah, a year old something. Again, it's more intuition. Intuition comes in very different ways. And I was talking to Allah. That's my way of just communication. I take him as a friend. So I just constantly communicate, especially when I'm driving. So when I was talking to him and I was like, Allah, I'm really scared that, if I die tomorrow or even today after a second, if I die, what's going to happen to my kids? And first of all, I saw death as a very beautiful thing. So I love magnolia flowers. So in my vision, that's one of the states of intuition. What I saw was like I was being carried in this beautiful garden and it was all filled with magnolias.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh my God. And I'm not sure how, but that took my fear away because that loving mother that's there for me to meet in the end of my life is more precious and loving than anything. And if that mother is so caring and loving for me, of course that's these kids are his creation.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with me. I'm just here as a guide. And that helped me with that. And since then I've been very happy as a mother to know they're always taken care of. And everyone is,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's what it is, right? We need to, I think at the end of the day, everything comes down to having that submission
That
and the
submission,
and that
trust.
level of faith. I
Absolutely.
think that's what it is, and that's what I guess our purpose is, right? To just kind of submit ourselves to Allah, and
It's
He will
amazing.
take care.
Yeah. It's very beautiful that you said that because I find the whole journey about our life for now, because of the timeline that we are and how our generations have been, it's about journeying towards Allah within ourselves. So finding God within. And when you find God within, it's like shows outwards. Everything is inside us, right?
Yeah.
So that's what it is. And I think that's the whole journey of unfolding that really seeing where the separation is coming from and just filling that void in and knowing that he's always there
Of course.
constantly.
Of course.
Yeah.
So tell me more about like about your spiritual guide side. Like, what is it that you do, and how did you get into it, and how do you help people?
Yes. So actually, it's I'm not sure how to say it because even this is not something that I chose. So honestly, day to day life, when I used to meet people like we like they would just hug and there's something that they would get out of me just talking to them. So people started coming to me and they're like, okay, can we? So certain things. And I find it's all spiritually connected. For me, everything leads to spirituality because anything that's happened are in our life in many, many different ways. If there is, what do you call it, shakiness, it's because we are not connected. Because in each and every aspect of our life, living, breathing, sleeping, eating, or going around in our relationship, everything comes to spirituality.
So are you going to say, like, I'm just thinking, it's just,
Yeah.
as I
Yeah.
said, so it's almost like, people who live in Pakistan, they will relate to this load shedding,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
The minute you start getting disconnected, there's like you get like a power surge and it kind of
Yes.
shakes you up, and
Yes.
it's like, wake up, right?
Yes. And I find that if I really analyze everything, what happens is that we get constant reminders, either someone passing away, either someone getting like sick, either world position, the COVID thing that's happening, or diseases like that, or any kind of relationship changes. It brings that, but because we are not aware of it, so it's going to keep on hampering unless till we get that awareness, and sometimes we don't get it,
Yeah. I
right?
mean, I think we do get it. It's sent to us, but we just don't recognize
We
it.
don't recognize, we're not conscious about it. And I think that's where my job as a spiritual mentor comes in, is really, I find we are, first of all, I truly believe that to connect with God, you have to connect with yourself. That's what the relationship with yourself comes first, because there's a reason Allah has made you. If you don't understand yourself fully, and I'm not saying like very, but just know that you're worth it. Allah has made you, you're worth it to be on this earth at this time.
Yes.
So that's where it starts. That's where I guide people, and I kind of be of service of, and for them to understand, because I find that I mostly deal with women. So that's what I can speak from. I haven't dealt with much men, maybe one or two. And I find worthiness is a big thing. We don't feel worthy of Allah's love. And I understand a lot of it. There's a lot of separation that we kind of develop from childhood to adulthood. And I think that's where my role comes in. I try to kind of see, and I think it comes naturally because I feel that I have so much love for Allah, and I think that's why it just flows. And I'm sure for you too, like people who just feel that He's always there and He's here, I think that's where it just comes naturally. And I've always prayed to Allah that I actually am nobody. So whenever, even if I'm mentoring someone, I say, Allah, please give me those words that you want them to hear. It's not
Yeah.
about,
Yeah.
because it's nothing, right? We are just vessels. We, like what you are doing here, just a vessel of conveying those messages.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
If you close your eyes
Mm-hmm.
and you try to envision Allah, what do you see?
I just see bright light, a lot of bright light, white. And it's like, oh.
But if you were to kind of see, my vision of Allah was very different.
Yeah.
And I think I've said this before. And I
Uh-huh.
think this is what I want to kind of like change in my children
Mm-hmm.
mostly, right?
Yes.
Growing
Yes.
up, when I would close my, if I would be ever alone and I would think about Allah,
Yes.
the image I had was of an old man with a stick and a
Yeah,
long
makes
beard
sense though. Makes
and a
sense.
very like dark room, like
Yes.
almost a dark, dark black room.
Yes.
And there's just a chair.
Yes.
And I see this person with a very straight, stern face sitting there. And a very like the stare, the look in the eyes of that person is, there's a lot of energy, but there's a lot of, it's very stern look. That's the image I used to have of Allah.
I know, because it's what I'm seeing is that the pre-assumption and things that we have been taught. That's what creates the image. So this image that I'm seeing right now was not the image that I had before. And I was just going to mention it, that the image in my personality for him changes as
And I'm going to give I don't know if I should, but you know, when my image, like I was like, oh my God, is I think it was Harry Potter.
Uh-huh.
Have you watched Harry Potter?
I have, but not all of them, so I'm not sure which one
No,
you're
I
talking
haven't. I've just watched glimpses. I'm not
about.
into that
Okay.
kind of, but there
Okay.
was like that old man with the long beard,
Yes, yes, yes.
right? And
Oh.
so, oh my God, that's like, no, I don't want my God to be. So now,
Yes.
and on a more serious note, like since I've gotten to know Allah on a different level,
Yes.
since I've connected with Allah, right?
Yes.
I
Yes.
feel the same way. I just feel, and now when I close my eyes, I feel this immense energy that just pulls me towards it. That, like, that's all I can feel. So I can be anywhere. I can be in my car. I can be sitting anywhere. And if I close my eyes and I draw that deep breath in, I literally feel that pull. That's
Yeah.
what I feel now. And and that's what I want. Like, it's almost like, you know, coming from a feeling of fear into love.
Yes.
Like, I want to tell everyone about that. I want
I
to say,
know. Oh my
please,
God.
please. Oh, just feel it once, you know?
You know, I was really, I completely get you there. Oh my God. Once you start feeling like that, you're like, I want the whole world. I wish the whole world could see that beauty and love of in this connection.
It's
And
like a drug.
it is like a, oh my God, me and my friends, we talk about this spiritual high that we get on, that we are on, and the thing is, compared to it, you can never go back. But
No.
I find Zara, it's a journey. If someone
It
would have
is.
tried to explain it to you, you wouldn't have not got it that,
No,
right?
no, not at
It's a
all.
journey. Yeah. So
Not
I
at
think
all.
that's what it is. But I also find that everyone eventually does find
Yeah.
that.
And so to think that you're just going to wake up one day and it will happen. It's I think it's always you know, the noises are there, the sounds
Yes.
are there, the
Yes.
signs are there. And the minute you actually make that intention that I want to explore that more, then the door keeps, it's like a door. It'll keep
Yeah, it
opening
keeps,
and
yes,
opening and opening until it's wide open, and you don't need to squeeze through it. You can flow through it, right?
yes.
So tell me about Reiki. I've heard about Reiki. I have never experienced Reiki, but I've heard the word. I don't know exactly what it is. So explain to me, what is Reiki?
So Reiki is energy technique that is used to relieve stress. That's the basic technique of releasing stress. But I personally feel, from my experience, is beyond that.
Okay.
Since I have connected with Reiki, and it took me a while after many messages from universe, because again, that was not something that I was going for. When I started doing it, it's like I find, because when you do Reiki, there are certain channels in your body, in your existence, that have been, and I personally feel that Reiki is a birthright of every person. That's one of the tools that Allah has given us for us to navigate in this life. But what happens is, from generations, since we have not been conscious about it, it gets blocked up, like chakras. If you know about chakras, they get
Yeah.
blocked up. That's an energy flow meridians, right? So when it gets blocked up, you kind of, so how we talk about intuition and all this guidance, I find that Reiki amplified it for me. It really opened that channel for me to really be clear about things beyond my sight, things that I feel that make me understand. I've always been a person since childhood, that I've been very sensitive to energies, but I never understood it. So that brought a lot of clarity for me.
I was like that too. I would walk in somewhere and I
Yes.
would immediately feel that energy. And the thing is, I think I used to be so open. You know how you have to protect yourself with the bubble?
Yes.
I never knew any of that. And this I'm talking about when I was a young girl.
Yeah.
And even when we moved here, I
Yes.
remember
Yes.
the first time we were buying our house,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Ali and I, we were buying our house. There were times where I would not even enter the house. We would be at the door and I would tell Ali, no. And he would look at me, he
Yeah.
goes, Zara, we need to go in. I'm like, okay,
Yes.
we'll go in. We'll go
Yes.
inside the house because
Yes.
obviously it's not polite not to. But
Yes.
I would literally almost sometimes stand at the door and I'm like, no, no.
Yeah.
And then I never realized that until a little bit later, where I was actually feeling the energy of the place, of the space.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
recognized that. But
Mm-hmm.
now it's on a different level. So I can easily walk in anywhere and
Mm-hmm.
I can sense the energy instantly. So,
Yes.
you know, and I know that now I don't know how to do my bubble and protect myself,
Ah,
but
okay.
I'm aware that
You're
there is
aware.
energy here. There is
Okay.
something.
So it's very it's very, they're very easy things for me. How energy work started was, there's one amazing person, Donna Eden. She can actually see certain things from her eyes that not everyone human is about to see. So when I started studying it, that started helping me to understand before I got into Reiki. But protection is not something very difficult. We are, especially there are people, we all are empaths, but there are people who, empaths are who observe and sense energies. That's how we are. But some people are to the next level, they feel a lot. So a lot of people that I know, some of them are very sensitive to energy, so they can actually sense if a person is sad. A person could be smiling, but the sadness overwhelms empaths very much. So the protection techniques, there are many, but I know you are into essential oils, and I'll tell you which one oil that is good for protection. And the other thing is simply that this technique that I learned by Donna Eden is you zip up. So when you have, in the morning, when you have done and you think that, okay, this is a state I want to be in for rest of my day, then you stand up and from foot till your head, you just zip up. And that's the first easy step of just protection. And once you start developing that, I find now I don't even have to protect myself. It's just, and
I still really go back a lot to my duas.
yes.
And
And
I
that's
like
protection. Yes.
yes. So
Yeah,
that
you know
is
how we do, like we do hisar, right?
yes.
So that's what I'm saying. When I started learning about energy, I'm like, oh my god, this is insane.
Because
This is
so
exactly
I'll
it.
tell you this is when I was much younger. The kids were very young, and Ali would travel for work a lot.
Mhm.
So I had this whole routine that I would go like my last I said my last tawaf of the house downstairs. So I would check all the doors are locked, the lights that need to be open are open, and then I would come upstairs and the kids are already by this time sleeping, right?
Mhm.
So I used to have a little bit of a hard time falling asleep. So I'd have my TV on. And it's funny because I used to have my TV on and Ali would call me because he knew that after like half an hour, 40 minutes, you'll be sleeping and the TV is going to still be on. So he would call me and say, Zara, turn the TV off, and I'd turn it off. But then I figured out I could put a timer on for 15, 20 minutes. Anyways, but I used to do the hisar. So I used to do my duas and I would clap 3 times and I'd go like this.
Yes.
And believe me, after I would do that, I would be like, that's it.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. You know, in Reiki, in Reiki, I'm getting all excited. In Reiki, when I started learning the first time, the teacher said that, you know, the second Reiki, number 2, you kind of learn to do it, how to do it on others. And she's telling me, she was teaching us, there were 3 person, and she's like, you know, after you're done a Reiki session, you do it like this. And I'm like, what? And it's 3 times. Or I'm like, we do that as wudu for our prayers just before we start. And I'm like, you know, water is a very good means of clarifying. So that's what I'm saying. When I started learning Reiki, things just started popping in my head. Even how we always pray on water, it changes the frequency of the water. Same as Reiki, when you become the channeler of the Reiki, you're able to put energy in the other person to clear them, and it's just vibration. It changes the vibration. And by the way, I will be happy to do a live session with you for Reiki if you are up to it.
You know what? I was thinking about it. I didn't think about the live session, but I was thinking that I'd like you to do like I'd like to get a Reiki healing done just to kind of see how it feels because
you have to feel
yeah.
it for you to know. It's like anything else, right? Yeah. Yeah, and I want to show you this oil. It's called white angelica. I think it's like backwards in the thing.
Yeah.
But I can message you, and this is very good for protection. I simply put it on my hand and then just go around, and it has beautiful smell, so I use it as a perfume as well.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. So I recently got into essential oils. I used to always think about it, but Zaira from she helped me get in. Like she told me everything about it. So I'm like now it's everywhere it's going, and so I don't know. I always get drawn towards frankincense, and I add lavender and bergamot. And I kind of really like that combination. And I feel like it's very soothing to me.
Yes.
So ylang ylang is not my oil.
No, mine either. But bergamot.
Oh God.
Beautiful. It's very beautiful. And I find bergamot is very uplifting.
Yes.
And frankincense is amazing for energy work. It's used a lot. It's funny because I actually have raisins of frankincense that I often burn, like ubani. It's called ubani. So but I burn it, and I had this person who used to help me in the house, and she's like, oh my god, it smells like church. I'm like, is it? You're like, yeah, we use this to how we do bukhur for our mosques, or in the house for the fragrance. That's what they do for churches. And I find frankincense is very high vibration and like amazing for spiritual awareness.
So I have a diffuser right near my entrance area. And I feel like just when like we do it almost, I think I turn it on every day.
Yes.
And I feel like the energy of the house is just so much better.
Yes. Yeah,
and
it is.
And I don't know what it is, but I think just lately, not since I've been using the diffuser, but overall, like I feel like there's a lot of calm in the house.
It is. It's a very calming, very grounding oil. Frankincense, absolutely. Another thing that's I find that helps with the energy and the flow is crystals. I have two of mine here.
Oh wow. Okay, so that's something I haven't indulged myself
Indulge
in.
it.
I
Yeah.
don't know
I think
anything
it's a
about it.
journey. It's like, for me, honestly, Zara, it started with tapping into energy and really feeling it, and then essential oils. Essential oils have been a huge part of my discovery. Very, like, it was amazing. So I can't wait for you to just keep on exploring. These things will just show up once, it's, pitara hota hai, kya bolte hain?
Yeah,
वो एक
it'll
दफा
a
खुल
Pandora
जाता है
box is going to open up. It's
हाँ
open up,
एक
right?
दफा खुल जाता है तो then it
No, I
never.
know. I
Yeah,
know. My God, I'm enjoying this so much.
I know, me too.
I almost don't want this to end,
I know.
but
Such a
there's
beautiful conversation with you, Zara. I'm like, it's such a effortless thing. It's
yes,
beautiful. Yeah.
I think our connection has been amazing, and I think that's what when I woke up this morning, I usually take about an hour or so before my call, just to kind of get my thoughts together and write some things down. But when I woke up this morning, I was like, no, we're just gonna go with the flow,
Yeah.
and this was beautiful. I think, thank you so much for making time and
Thank you
and
for
and
having
talking
me.
to us, and everybody who's going to obviously listen to the podcast and or watch it on YouTube. Thank you very much, and I think we need some follow-ups.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God, yes. Can you do this more often?
Yeah, absolutely. We can make this a regular thing where we just talk,
Just that.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I
yeah.
think it's needed. Zara, thank you so much for doing this. It's a beautiful initiative.
Thank you so, so, so much. So we will keep in touch, and we're going to do that Reiki session.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
But on a more serious note, I really do, like, I feel the connection is there, and I think that you have so much to offer to people, and I've met you so many times in so many different places, and I've always felt that energy that has drawn me towards you. But I think today was the right time for us to actually indulge in a conversation that was a little bit more on a deeper level, and I know that you're doing the work of God. So keep going, and heal away.
Oh my God, tears in my eyes. Thank you,
Oh,
Sarah. Really,
and
I think this thing about you, I find that what you are doing is, I think we all are here to do this work together. And I think that's why you having all these things together, calling people and setting this together, I think it's a beautiful journey. Sarah, you're doing amazing. And
thank
I'm
you so
super
much.
proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Yes, thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Lafis.